Hello, Emily Gibbons from the Literacy Nest. Thank you so much for checking out my YouTube channel today. We're going to talk about something that gets asked a lot. And as you can see from the title, you can probably tell what I'm going to be chatting about. So I am going to dig right into tips for B&D reversals. Do kids reverse more than just B&D? They sure do. But I'm just going to talk about B&D and then hopefully do a second video on the other letters that tend to be reversed. The biggest thing I want to say is as many tips as I'm going to give you today, and there are a lot, it is all about consistency. We want to certainly give our students the tools that they need to help them fix those reversals, to become more aware of when they reverse and know what to do to fix it, or when they feel stuck, what to do. But if we give them too many tools in the toolbox when it comes to these reversals, it just ends up muddying the waters. So we just want to grab onto one or two things that are tried and true and stick with those consistently. And I mean this for both parents and teachers. Kids reverse letters, and this can be typical up until the age of 7. So this is not something that we know is the big red flag for dyslexia, but this is something that tends to perseverate around people with dyslexia at times. Not everyone does, but it is pretty common. We see this with just visually processing these letters, with needing help with handwriting, with knowing that, yeah, they sort of look like a mirror image of one another, don't they? Right? And we know with other shapes, like for instance, a chair, no matter how you turn it, it's still going to be a chair. But no matter how you turn these B&Ds, they hold different meaning, don't they? Right? They represent different sounds. So as I say to my students, writing is communication. So we want to give them the tools to help them write them properly, to know that they're attached to certain specific sounds in our writing and in our writing system, and to represent those sounds accurately. All right. So I'm going to show a bunch of different visuals of things that you may have been familiar with and you may not have, but there are a couple of new ones that I do want to stress. First of all, you may be familiar with this, but using visuals can really, really help your children or your students. So knowing that if you use a visual like with the letter B, we can think of a baseball bat before the ball. With the letter D, we can think of a doorknob before the door. That is one visual that many children tend to grab onto very quickly. We can display these images, but let me show you a few more. This one I find is rather useful only because if we don't have a poster in front of us and you're a child sitting at your desk, this is a quick check if you're stuck. Is it B or is it D? They can hold up their fingers and look and know which is which and see baseball before the bat, doorknob before the door with their fingers. So that's one way to do a quick check. Sometimes in your Orton-Gillingham lessons, you might want to use some slap bracelets. So the B would be the green on the left hand, and green means go. When we're thinking about reading left to right, we start with the green light, right? Get ready to go. We move to the right. And then the D is on the right hand, so you would have a red slap bracelet, and that would mean stop. So we've got our B and D slap bracelets there. All I did was just buy some plain colored slap bracelets and then write them write those letters on there with the Sharpie marker. So having those visuals close by and wearing them, especially when students are really new to the idea of distinguishing B and D, is helpful. Another visual besides using your fingers like that is to just do thumbs up. So this is another one. So if we think about, remember, baseball bat before the ball, doorknob before the door. So that's another quick visual check that students can use, and discreetly, even if they're in the middle of writing and they are still trying to check to see which one. And then the other visual is the bed. We think, okay, the B has our pillow here where we lay our head, and then the D is at the end, and it looks, so B before D. The best, I would say, tip that I have for everybody is a consistent verbal pathway. And what we want to use is the same verbal pathway every time. Now we're going to model that. We're going to say it a lot at the beginning, but we're going to also have our children verbalize it out loud too, while they are either tracing or writing, whether that be skywriting, whether it be tracing in a sand tray, whether it be writing on a piece of paper, a whiteboard, a chalkboard, whatever you use. We are going to emphasize the verbal pathway, and we are going to make sure that they are saying it as well. So it's helpful to sometimes have these number directionality dotted arrow lines. And we can just say bat before ball. Bat before ball. We're going to have them do that 3 times. Okay? And typically if I'm introducing the letter B, I'm not going to be introducing the letter D with it. I would be doing those separately, right? But if I'm using it as a review lesson or a quick warm up because my kids already know B and D, then I can sort of mix them up. But for an introduction, I would not recommend putting these letters together. And then with D, we have a different verbal pathway. So you'll see the number 1 there. And we're going to tell them to make a letter C before D, because C comes before the letter D in the alphabet. C before D. C before D. C before D. Okay? So they can see a letter C and then close it off. All right? So these verbal pathways are quick and easy and memorable to use. And these are ones that I would stress using and reminding with them and having them use each time. You can continue the verbal pathways on these little sandpaper cards if you want. These are, and I'll put the link from Didax, they're just little sandpaper cards, and they're nice and thick too for kids to trace with those verbal pathways on there. And we can continue to reiterate the verbal pathways for that. Bat before ball, C before D. And then you can use some practice sheets in grids, and you might want to start by grouping all the B's together, just focusing on those, and all the D's together, having them practice and saying that verbal pathway out loud. Okay, you could just have them trace with a finger first. After they trace with a finger, then go back and write with a pencil. Okay. The other tip that is sort of interesting, I know I'm sort of blocking this visual. I apologize for that, but so I'll just explain it. So for the letter B, we can, if we're thinking about a multisensory approach, when we try to imagine our mouth formation, we can think, well, before we say the letter B, our lips are in a line, like right at the beginning, right? And so since our lips are in a line, we can start with a line. With the letter D, when we're getting ready to say D, our lips are open, right? So we start with an open letter, like the letter C. That is just one more way to use our lips, teeth, and tongue explanations. You can even pull in a little mirror to model that and then show that on lined paper, how to do that. So it's one more just tip that some students, perhaps your older students, might grab onto rather than having to use all of the little visuals, but thinking about mouth formation instead. As we move on, we want to continue with our handwriting practice. Now, handwriting practice is going to cross over into so many areas. We really want to incorporate proper letter formation. If you notice on here, I've got the little green light for where to start, right? And then the red light right there where to end. Okay, so I'm there for the letter B. Okay, a little green light and a red light sometimes just to kind of give kids a chance to remember. So all of these little tips are like little scaffolds for them. Will they always have the green and red light on there? No, but this is just one thing. Another thing is if you want to use sky, grass, dirt paper, so the sky is up high, and then we have our grass, and then for like the midline, and then we have our dirt down below, just for proper letter formation. Sometimes kids benefit from having that type of paper. All right, but lots of practice and having them look back and see, oh, which one was the best B that you wrote? Can you circle that for me and see which one they did? Also stressing verbal pathway while they are writing this. Bat before ball, bat before ball. Okay. Then if you want to drill through the letters just for quick, rapid letter formation, then you can just have them B, D, B, B, D, just naming them off. So this is a great warm-up activity that you can do. Okay. So you could even make a bingo grid that has B's and D's on it and then just start pulling out letters out of a hat. And you can do that with all of the letters that they reverse. You could throw in the letter P or the letter Q or the letter Z is sometimes reversed, or S. Okay. And big tip, you can teach it as cursive handwriting. Is when you take a look at the cursive B versus the cursive D, okay, they really do look very different from one another. So teaching cursive handwriting and modeling that is really going to help eliminate those reversals. And as our students become older and they truly want to learn cursive writing, they enjoy the process of learning it and feel a lot of success and confidence when they're able to practice it and utilize it. So something else to think about to incorporate cursive handwriting. All right, now the next slide I'm about to show is a couple of different books that I have found, and I'll put links to those books so that you have them. So I've got B and D Are Buddies by Brenda Olson. I've got Which Is It? B or D by Marie Meyer. So those are the first two. The next two are Manu and the Mystery of the Lowercase B. And then Brother B and Sister D is the last one. So incorporating books in there, if you're a parent at home and you want to read one of these books with your child, I found all of them online. I will post links for those, or if you are in a classroom and you have time to read a little story as part of your lesson to go over B and D, sometimes having a little story to go along with these letters, especially for our younger students, is helpful. So I know that I have stressed the use of visuals in this video, and that there are other letters that are reversed besides B and D. So, but just thinking about the different visuals that we use and keeping them consistent across the board is going to be so useful. So let me know which tip really stood out to you today? Which one have you tried in the past and works beautifully? Which ones you're thinking, this one didn't really help as much? It really is going to depend on the child. Some things work really beautifully, and some things you just have to change up depending on the kids that are with you. But just remember, verbal pathway, be consistent, okay? And have those visuals ready. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.